Following your own intuition is the key to your dream life. We have a duty to love ourselves because creation is love. Love creates, hatred destroys. Hello. Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Ange, aka Ange the Dean. This is my very first sit down talk for the YouTube video. This is my first time talking directly to you, and I really want this channel to be a place where people who want freedom, who want to escape from the rat race, from the hamster wheel, who want true mental freedom, who want to live and experience true joy and love and not put all their energy into this capitalist rat race. I want this to be a space for artists. I want this to be a space for people of color, for queer people. Anyone who wants to take the leap into becoming their authentic selves despite everything that we are socialized and groomed into being. So if you are interested in truly being and truly accepting yourself and truly living without limitations, here is the space for you. That's what I'm interested in. That's what I want to do. And this channel will be a place where hopefully we'll grow into community where you can find people who have the same interests. And as an artist, that is my mission. I have been thinking a lot with everything that has been going on in the world over the past year, but also over the past couple of years, as I've been getting into my mid-20s and feeling and seeing all the weight of the world, all the tragedy, but also all the love, all the outpouring, and trying to navigate what is my role as an artist in all of this, right? So I make music. I'm a musical artist. I have been singing forever and started putting out music in 2020. We all know what happened around 2020. I started putting out music in 2020. I'm primarily a rapper, but I sing as well. So I've been trying to navigate what is my role as an artist in these times, and I've been having a lot of conversations with some dear friends and doing a lot of reflection and just kind of sitting with it, because the thing with the weight of all the evil that's going on in the world, of all the oppression of colonialism, is that it is very heavy. It is very heavy, and to fully engage with that weight can be maddening, can truly make you lose your mind, because it is a lot and it's so against everything that our human spirits desire and resonate with. So it's heartbreaking, but at the same time, we owe it to the people who are suffering most. We owe it to ourselves to carry that weight. But the thing about it is, as I said, trying to carry that weight all on your own as a singular individual will make you lose your mind. Can very much make you lose your mind. And I definitely lost my mind a little bit in 2020. No regrets though. If you noticed, during 2020, we had the uprisings in the wake of the death of George Floyd, and I'm Nigerian. We had uprisings for this movement called NSARS, which was against police brutality in Nigeria. So there were, as there always have been, movements across the diaspora against brutality and violence against marginalized people, against Black people. So I identified with it very deeply. I did everything that I felt like I could to engage and constantly stay engaged. But what I've realized as I've gotten older, especially with that situation, like I took it upon myself. I was like, what can I do? What can I do? What can I do? How can I constantly stay in this? And the mental weight of that at, how old was I? Was it 22? Yeah, 22, 23. Literally pushed me into essentially a manic episode. So I say this because if you noticed, after these movements, we had a big uptick in individualism. After basically the movements kind of got squashed, we didn't get what we were asking for from the governments, both home and abroad. A lot of people lost a lot of hope, and a lot of people went into nihilism, individualism, which then from there it propagated a lot of these offshoots of classism. You began to hear about a lot of luxury, a lot of, I hate that this has been co-opted, but soft life, which is a Nigerian term, but kind of got co-opted to mean like a life of no work and luxury. But it was just initially meant to be just enjoyment, whatever. But you start to see all these movements, and now you're seeing the trad wife movement and all of this. So essentially, conservative movements under the guise of relaxation, because people are tired. That's the truth of the matter. I do think a lot of people tried to carry that weight on themselves. Some more than others. I think a lot of people maybe just let a little bit in. They were like, oof, that empathy does not feel good. Let me go find something that's like a quick fix. Let me feel good. So perfect time for people who have their own agendas to swoop in and bring in these individualist movements, right? That I don't think is the way forward, because it just pushes us further away and divides us further and moves us further from any goal of collective liberation, which is, at the end of the day, what we want, what's most important. I think that's what the collective consciousness wants, and that's also what the people in power don't want, because there's power in the people. There's power in the people. If you have been outside during any of the protests, if you were outside during any of the BLM protests, if you've been outside during any of the Palestine protests, if you've been in any congregation of people who really have a strong desire for freedom, you felt the power in that space. It is very, very powerful when we put our hearts and our heads together to fight for something, to fight for joy, to fight for liberation, to fight for freedom, to not even if it's not fighting, to long for that, to voice that joy, to voice that we want a better world. There's so much power in sitting down or standing or marching, and feeling that desire for humanity, desire for togetherness, that desire for kindness. So the answer to not being crushed by the weight of the world is to not try to carry it alone, but to carry it in community. That's why it feels so heavy. That's why if you sit by yourself and you just start thinking about, oh my God, the world is so terrible. Oh my gosh, these things are happening. Oh my gosh, history is repeating itself. Oh my gosh, there's so much violence. There is so much cruelty. You will start to get depressed. You might start to just want to dissociate. But if you go and talk about these things with a group of friends, even an organization, in this day and age, we have a lot of online spaces. You start to feel hope. You start to feel hope because you feel that power in the collective, because it's not meant for one person to carry. It's not. It's meant for us to carry as a collective. In this modern age where our third spaces are being devalued and being removed, where we're constantly being fed content that divides us. A lot of this dating content, that's just really a lot of capitalist propaganda. A lot of this friendship content, that's really capitalist propaganda. That's very anti-love and is trying to place monetary value on human connection, is moving us further and further away from love and from connecting with each other, and more with connecting with a very binary numbers view of life, of ourselves, of our own humanity, is pushing us away from recognizing ourselves. And if you stop and sit for a second, if you go and spend time in nature, I think it becomes very obvious that, like, hey, there's something kind of wrong here. Like, there's something kind of wrong here. Because our human instinct, our natural intuition is to love. And I truly and wholeheartedly believe that. My number one message is, do not let someone else's voice replace your intuition. We are all given, from the day that we're born into this world, we're given intuition of what is good and bad. We are all given a soul, and our souls naturally, and this is beautiful, our souls naturally reach for good and for love. And I truly believe that. Now, there are traumas that can happen along the way that can distract and hurt, that can cause one to fear love, but it's still there. That voice that calls for love, that advocates for love, is still there. And we live in a system, from the political systems to the corporate systems to the religious systems, that work very, very hard to make us ignore that intuition and that inner voice. So you might be like, and this is something, a lie that we like to tell ourselves, oh, I'm not that important. Why would people in power care about suppressing my intuition, my inner voice? And it's very simple. Following your own intuition is the key to your dream life. We are all born with a very innate knowledge of self. If you have ever been around a child, when they're younger, if you think of yourself as a child, I love to think about myself as a child and take lessons from my younger self because of the deep knowledge of self I had at that age, the passion I had at that age, the person that I was before I was made aware of the person that I should be. Times are changing, and maybe there's a little bit more flexibility, there's a little more room to kind of poke a hole and kind of escape into a life that you really want. And a lot of people, that healing process is returning to your inner child. Because as kids, we know what we're interested in, we know what we like, we know what we don't like, we know what brings us joy. We're very carefree, we're not worried about what other people are thinking. And then as we get older, from our parents, our teachers, society at large, our peers, we are kind of bullied into submission, into fitting a very cookie cutter role. You need to be this and this and fit into the system at school. You need to fit into the system to maybe get to higher education, to get a good job. And those parts of yourself that really bring you joy tend to fall to the side. But in all reality, those are the key to being successful. And successful not in a way of just making a lot of money, even though that most likely will happen, because when you're joyful, you naturally attract abundance, right? But successful in a truly joyful, a truly fulfilling way. So yeah, your intuition is really important, because when you're joyful, you resist. Liberation comes from joy. There are a lot of people profiting from our collective helplessness. And a lot of that collective helplessness is believing that we have to operate in a certain way for survival, and to an extent that we do. And as long as we're focused on survival and survival mode, it's very hard for us to worry about the collective, because our physical needs aren't being met, or worried about our physical needs not being met. So yes, a lot of people do have a lot of vested interest in you denying your intuition. And what I'm here on this channel to do, like, I'm not here to be a prophet, I'm not here to be a type of priest, I'm not here to be a type of pastor, I'm not here to replace anyone's intuition, because that's a lot of what these systems and these people do. And it's like, you have this beautiful God-given spirit of discernment and this beautiful consciousness that can interact with the universe and feel what's going on, feel the shifts. And we tend to throw that aside and replace that with the voice of literally some random guy who claims that they were called by God, or claims that they have all this intellect and they have a greater vision. And it's like, no, you have that. You have just as much access to the fate of the world and to your own fate as them. And you have way more access to your own fate. And I hate to say it, but that desire to ignore your sacred intuition is a form of self-hate. And there's a lot of investment into making us hate ourselves, into making us hate our appearances, into making us think that we need more money, into making us think that we need to live a certain lifestyle. A lot. Billions and billions of dollars go into wrecking our self-esteem, so that we're constantly in consumption mode, we're constantly trying to grab ladder, we're constantly feeling insufficient, we're hating ourselves more and more. And when you hate yourself, you're not going to listen to yourself. You're not going to listen to your intuition. You're not going to trust yourself, because you don't even like yourself. And self-hate is a form of blasphemy. Now, I believe in God, I believe in the universe, I don't follow any religion strictly, but I do believe that we are all created, we're all part of creation, and we as humans are sacred, and we all have a very sacred role to play. And it's like, if the trees outside are perfect, if the grass is perfect, the flowers, everything has its role, the bees, everything has its role, and everything is perfect, and we love it, it's good, right? Why in the world would we hate ourselves? Do you think you know better than who created you? That's pompous. We have a duty to love ourselves, because creation is love. Love creates, hatred destroys. And so when we think about a new world that we want to create, when we think about the new lives that we want to create for ourselves, shame and self-hatred and listening to the voices of others, or letting the voices of others drown out our own inner voice, is not going to be the path. You can read a million self-help books, you can listen to a billion podcasts, you can watch a million videos, but if you don't have enough love to sit with yourself and listen to that inner voice, it's not gonna work, because you need love to create authentically. And if you're loving yourself, if you're listening to yourself, if you are not neglecting your intuition, you naturally start to resist all these oppressive societal norms. You naturally feel more comfortable in expressing yourself. You naturally feel more comfortable putting yourself out there. because you realize that all the shackles that you thought were on you were just in your mind. They were in your mind. They had been strategically placed there over and reinforced over and over and over and over again since you were a child, but they're not real. Guess what? None of it is real and none of it matters. Truly, what matters is the intuitive draw that your soul has to the universe, to the rest of humanity, to the work that you're truly meant to do. And that's the beauty of it all. That the power to create your dream life, the power to find your soul work, the power to find joy, the power to find love, all resides within you. Listening to your intuition. That is your superpower. Your intuition is your superpower. And you gotta hold on to it fiercely. And if anybody tries to grab that, anyone tries to supersede that, you gotta back up now. Back up now. It's a sacred gift. All that to say, you are enough, and we together are building our dream world. All the love, Ange.